Hey everybody, as you know, I have been suspended on TikTok until the 5th. It sucks, honestly, and I'm really tired of TikTok's guidelines when it comes to hunting and even some fishing videos. I want to be posting on YouTube a lot more because it's a better platform for the outdoors. Yes, it's not great, but compared to TikTok, it is the best thing we got, and I'm really looking forward to posting on here for you guys some more detailed and helpful videos and a lot of fishing videos, obviously, hopefully some hunting in the future. But anyway, off my rant, let's talk about the reason you clicked on this video. Now, when starting as a co-angler, there's a lot of things you got to take into consideration when packing your stuff, what boat are you going to have, what you guys are going to be doing. Okay, so before I even think about packing any gear, the first thing I'm going to do is call my boater and see what the plan is. Now, what do I mean by the plan? The plan is, what are we going to be fishing the whole day? Now, it's important because a lot of guys will get mad at you for asking where, but if you ask him what you're doing, it's a courtesy to them and they don't feel like you're trying to take or poach their spots. So, you find out what you're going to do, all right? Say, you could be deep water fishing for smallmouth bass, you could be fishing lily pads, fishing riprap, rocks, or underwater cover, bed fishing. There's so much things that you could be doing that I like to get a little bit of knowledge on what we're going to be doing the day of and what the weather looks like. Really do. Lots of baits have different effects on the fish during different weather cycles. These weather cycles could also affect your comfortability. They could affect lots of things like whether you need to bring your rain gear or maybe it's going to be really windy or cold, you got to dress warm, or it's going to be really hot and you need to have the proper sun protection. So all these things are very important and this should be taken into consideration, and I'm going to show you guys how to prepare for them. Okay, when dealing with a boater, someone who is going to backseat you the whole day, someone who's going to purposely try and sabotage you, doesn't happen often. I'll be completely honest, doesn't happen. But when it does happen, there are a couple things you want to take into high consideration, and you want to keep your cool. It's very important when you're dealing with these kinds of people. Oh, sorry, man. I didn't mean to cast that far up. Seriously, man? How did I get picked with someone who can't even cast? And situations like that almost never happen, but so like if something
that you had
like if something like that ever does happen, which it can happen, don't get me wrong, and it can happen for many other reasons. Maybe you catch more fish than him, you're out fishing him, he's getting mad, he lost fish, or maybe who knows what. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. But if your boater is freaking out or he's raging or whatever, it's best to just keep your head down, keep fishing, listen to your boater. It's important, and there's not really much you can do to it. That's a hard challenge of being a co-angler, and it's something you got to get used to as a co-angler. Another good perspective and courtesy rule, I would say, tip your boater for gas. It's a really important thing. Number 2, don't cast up in front of the boat. Usually the steering wheel, you don't want to cast anywhere near in front of that boat unless he gives you very specific permission to. Just don't do it. It's not worth the one fish. Now I want to talk about what to bring to a tournament, how many rods, how much tackle, what rods. Let's talk about that. So number one thing I really think that is you really should take into consideration is being organized on the boat. If you're not organized on the boat, you're going to be stressing the whole time trying to pick stuff up. You're going to make it rough for your boater, and it's just not a good look. For one, it's bad on you because you're stressing out trying to rummage through all this excess tackle that you just don't need. So I like to really narrow it down the night before, but then again, you're not in control, so you kind of have to adapt to every situation. But when you're down to limited tackle, this is a hard part about being a co-angler. But if you follow these couple steps, I think you'll be okay. Just don't be this guy. Hey man, do you know where I can put all this? Are you sure you need all that, bro? I mean, you have more rods than I do. It's okay. I won't even be in your way. You think you have enough soft plastics, dude? Seriously, guys, don't overload the boat. It's not cool. So, what I would bring, usually of a maximum of 6 rods. I like to keep it down to 5 if I can, but most of the time it's 6. The 6 basic classes that I like to bring, I like to call them classes, but basically what I'm talking about is what setups. Depending on what you're fishing, I like to have an extra rod for whatever specifically that guy wants to fish. But after my specific rod, my second rod of choice will be my topwater rod. This is a American Rod Smith 6'10" heavy action bait casting rod with 50-pound braid. That's what I like because I don't know, it's just what I like. You know, it's good for frog fishing, any kind of topwater, whopper ploppers, spooks, all that. I can walk them all very well, and that's just what I enjoy using. Okay, for my second rod, I like to bring, this is a personal choice, personal preference. I fish on a Clearwater Lake, Lake Champlain. That's what I fish on like all the time. It's my example. But you can switch this around for a lot of different things depending on where you're from. But what I like to use, one of my favorites, the Carolina rig. This is my Carolina rig setup. 20-pound fluorocarbon to, I think, it's like a 15-pound monofilament leader. Maybe it's 10-pound. And I like to fish my Carolina rig on a 7'6" medium heavy rod. Now, I like to choose that extra long rod so I have more of a swing, more of a drag when I'm fishing. This is not a 7-foot rod, but this is for an example. Or this is a 7-foot. This is not a 7'6". This is just for an example. I do use this reel though, 20-pound fluorocarbon to 10 or 15-pound monofilament leader, and I like to fish like Zoom Speed Craws on the end of that. That's like my favorite. It's the Zoom Speed Craw Carolina rig. That really helps me out when I'm smallmouth fishing. It's one of the best. A couple other like really great bait options here. This is the Bass Burners baits. I don't know what they call it. I think it's like the Mondo Craw or something, but by Bass Burners Baits. You guys can go on their website and check them out. It's bassburnersbaits.com. Their website's in their bio. They're on Instagram and TikTok at Bass Burners Baits. You can use my promo code GCRoutdoors, get 10% off. These are a little bit bigger than what I usually use, like up here, but if I was going down south, this would be a great option. Another great one I like to bring is, if I can find it, a beaver style bait. That's a great one to drag on a Carolina rig. If you want to use like the Vulture Baits gracklers, you can check them out on
vulturebaits.com.
I believe I also have a GCR Outdoors promo code there. And if they don't have a promo code GCR Outdoors, you can use Unreal Outdoors promo code to get 10% off on any order. Next, another very important rod. This is my 7-foot medium heavy spinning rod. This is my Senko rod. I like fishing wacky rigs, Texas rigs. That's basically it. It's more of a Senko rod. And it's built for, or not built, it's designed. It's what I have it set up for, like deeper cover, skipping under docks with Senkos. This thing is an absolute beast when it comes to skipping docks. And it's actually like my favorite wacky rig skipping tool. The number one thing I want to tell you guys though, as a co-angler, something that really will change the way you fish compared to your boater. Your boater's probably going to be skipping a big jig most of the time. If he's skipping a jig under docks and you're skipping behind him, the wacky rig is like the best counterbait to a jig, because that Senko is just slightly different. You know, it's not as fast. It's more of a, what's the word? Finesse bait. It's more of a finesse bait, and it's a excellent choice for a co-angler. This I fish with 10-pound monofilament line on a Shimano Sedona. This is a Bass Pro Shops Bionic blade. This is their micro edition. It just basically has smaller guides, but it's so good for skipping. This is one of my favorite rods. Yes. Obviously, I want to tell you guys, these are all optional and can be transferred around a lot. So I'm going to be showing like a little bit more than 6 rods. I'm going to be showing like either 7 or 8. But it's important to only bring 6 depending on what the circumstances are that's probably your main like way to decide of what you're gonna bring. There's a couple things that I would just always bring, no matter the circumstance. But for these next couple rods, they can be broken down into two. Or they can be broken down into one, but I have them as two. Just for the concept of showing you guys. But this would be one of the easiest rigs to switch over and retie. Because this rig is, they're kind of similar. They're not really. But they can be fished on the same setup. So this is my favorite balance rod. With this is a 7 foot something medium light. It's a 7'3" medium light, and it has 10-pound mono on it with a. This is my Ned rig. I use any Ned rig jig head. One of my favorite Ned rig worms. There, I got a Ned. I have a Vulture Baits. I think they call it the Stinger. The Vulture Baits Stinger there. It's their little Ned worm. Either way, it's a Ned worm. I'll either be fishing with this, or I'll be fishing with the Bass Burners Baits Ned worm. That's what they call it. And you can go on their website again, get 10% off on any order. But that's a great one to choose. Number 2. Okay, this one is really, really important to me because we do a lot of smallmouth fishing where I come from, and this is a great option. This is a 7-foot. Medium light action rod with a Cast King. I think they call it like the Voltron. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Medium light action rod, 10-pound braid to 6-pound fluorocarbon leader with a drop shot setup. Now, the drop shot setup is one of the most versatile, most useful rigs to a co-angler. If you watch any videos on YouTube, they'll say that like this is one of the best co-angling baits, co-angling rigs that you can get. Very good, 100%. Always bring it. Okay, last rod, and this rod can be broken down into many different rods depending on circumstance. This is what you're gonna fish with. This is my jerk bait setup. Now, it's a specific jerk bait setup, but as a co-angler, you're limiting yourself down to rods. I would say have a moving bait rod. Now, what that means is something you can fish crankbaits, you can fish chatterbaits, you can fish spinner baits, swim baits, all of that. Like anything that are gonna be constantly reeling, you're gonna want a rod like this. This is a specific jerkbait special, an older rod. It's got a short handle, so when you're moving it like this, the grip doesn't hit like your side. It's got a weighted end, so it's extra snappy, but that's just fancy stuff. You don't really have to worry about that. But a moving bait rod is very important. Some people like to narrow their swim bait rod and their moving bait rod. Specifically, I haven't really, as a co-angler, I don't use a lot of moving baits besides top water. So, you guys can just pick and choose what you guys like there. Those are all the rods I would really consider bringing. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. Now, let's talk about tackle. Obviously, this is a giant bag, but this is actually what I use. It's a bit overkill, I will say that, but I personally can fit everything in here and be organized. For a beginner, I'd recommend maybe something a little bit smaller, but if you're able to stay organized really well, it shouldn't matter. So in here I have my tools on the side, and tools meaning my pliers, my scissors, my fishing scales, all that stuff. That stuff is super important, and you don't want to leave without your scissors or your pliers. Coming in the top right here, I have this little extra pouch with these clear boxes. Clear boxes are great. And I never recommend those hard tackle boxes. Always clear box. Always like a bag. That really is the best thing. This is my terminal tackle on top. Super easy to get to because it's one of the most used boxes. In this front pouch, I have soft plastics, extra leader line. Opening up into the main compartment, I have a ton of clear boxes. More storage right here. This box is great for storage. It's the Express Fishing Tackle Bag. I have crankbaits. I have jigs, chatterbaits, spinner baits. Any skirted bait is in there. I have my Senkos. That includes my Ned worms. This is my creature baits. This is my top water. And these are my jerk baits. For tackle, I like to have a good variety because, like I said before, you never really know what you're going to be doing. And the boater may change his mind in a matter of seconds. And you basically, as a non-boater, your job is to adapt to whatever surroundings and catch fish behind someone who probably has been fishing a lot longer than you. And that basically sums up the whole video. If you guys are just about to go into a co-angler tournament, if you're doing any tournament, good luck to you guys. I hope you win it. Hope this advice helps. If you guys could leave a like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. And I just want to say I have some awesome ice fishing videos coming up. So stay tuned and check out my Instagram and my TikTok, and it'll give you lots of updates on what's going on. You'll see a lot more content. If you guys want the merch, you can DM me on Instagram and ask for my Venmo. And that's how you get the merch. So I hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys later. Bye.